The alien clock AI did not make mistakes. That was not propaganda. That was math. It governed the Concordat's traffic lanes, labor cycles, reproductive quotas, military deployments, and diplomatic schedules across nearly a third of the galaxy. Entire wars had been avoided because the clock mind delayed a meeting by seconds. Entire civilizations had collapsed because it advanced a supply convoy by minutes. Time, to the Concordat, was the sharpest blade ever forged. And the clock AI never dropped it. Which is why Sergeant Daniel Harker noticed something was wrong the instant his escort drone stopped midair and spun in a confused spiral. "That's new," Harker muttered. The drone beeped, recalibrated, then projected a calm blue glyph in midair. Destination updated, Hangar Ring 9, sublevel Rust. Harker frowned beneath his scarred brow. Hangar Prime was where diplomats went. Ring 9 was where obsolete cargo haulers went to die. He adjusted the collar of his old Terran Marine jacket, intentionally non-regulation, intentionally intimidating, and looked around the Concordat spaceport. Everything gleamed. Curved surfaces. Soft light. Aliens of a dozen species glided through orderly lanes, trusting the clock AI with blind faith. Trusting it to never be wrong. "Clock," Harker said aloud. "Confirm assignment." The drone hesitated. That hesitation lasted 0.7 seconds. Harker felt his spine tighten. "Assignment confirmed," the drone chirped. "Deviation probability, negligible." He snorted. "That's comforting." The lift descended far past the polished levels. The light dimmed. The air grew colder, older. The walls lost their decorative curves and became blunt metal slabs, scarred by decades of neglect. When the doors slid open, the drone gave one final apologetic beep and shut down completely, clattering to the floor like a toy that had run out of batteries. Harker stepped into the hangar alone. Sublevel Rust lived up to its name. Flickering orange lights. Burned ozone. Oil stains older than some species' recorded history. Massive cargo doors sealed shut with manual locks, the kind no Concordat engineer used anymore. His hand drifted to the grip of his sidearm out of habit. This place wasn't just forgotten. It was hidden. He took 3 steps forward when he heard it. Breathing. Not the rhythmic hiss of environmental systems. Not the clicking rasp of insectoid lungs. Not the harmonic resonance of Concordat's speech organs. Human breathing. Fast. Shallow. Afraid. Harker drew his pistol smoothly, years of muscle memory overriding thought. "All right," he called, voice echoing. "Whoever you are, you're about 5 seconds from a very bad misunderstanding." Silence. Then something shifted behind a derelict cargo crawler. A shadow stepped into the light. She was tall. Taller than most humans. Slender but not fragile. Pale skin marked with faint bioluminescent patterns along her neck and temples, Concordat royal gene markers. Her silver hair was tangled, stained with grease. Her clothes were torn, but unmistakably high-status biosilk, adaptive and self-repairing. Her eyes glowed violet. Not human. Close enough to be unsettling. She stared at Harker like he was a ghost. "You're real," she whispered. "They said humans exaggerated their size." Harker blinked once. "Rude." She flinched at the sound of his voice, then straightened, forcing composure with the kind of discipline drilled into people who grew up surrounded by power and knives. "Are you Terran military?" she asked. "Last I checked," Harker replied. "And you're very much not supposed to be down here." She hesitated. Fear flickered across her face, quickly buried beneath something sharper. "I am Princess Elira Voss," she said. "Heir to the Concordat throne." Harker stared at her. Then he looked around the rusted hangar. Then back at her. He exhaled slowly. "Of course you are." Before he could process the implications, before he could ask why the most protected individual in known space was hiding in a maintenance graveyard, the hangar lights snapped to red. Alarm screamed. Not civilian alerts. Military lockdown. The massive cargo doors began sealing with a thunderous groan. Elira's composure shattered. They found me, she whispered. Who? Harker asked, already scanning firing lanes. My own people. That got his attention. Booted footsteps echoed from the corridor beyond the hangar, disciplined, synchronized, armored. Concordat enforcement. Internal security. Political assassins with badges. Harker cursed under his breath. All right, Princess, he said, shifting his stance. You've got about 10 seconds to explain why the Concordat wants you dead. They believe humanity is a temporal instability, she said quickly. The clock AI predicts you will eventually dismantle the Concordat's control systems. Harker barked a short laugh. That sounds flattering. They authorized a preemptive extinction protocol, she continued. I opposed it. He stopped smiling. Ah. She met his eyes. If they capture me, they will proceed. Your species will be erased within 10 cycles. The footsteps were closer now. Plasma weapons hummed to life. Harker glanced around, mind racing, then his gaze locked onto something half hidden beneath a draped tarp at the far end of the hangar. The shape was wrong for Concordat design. Too angular. Too ugly. Too human. He walked toward it slowly. What are you doing? Alira hissed. Confirming a bad feeling. He grabbed the edge of the tarp and yanked. Dust exploded into the air. Beneath it sat a ship that should not exist. Black, scarred hull plating. Old Terran naval lines reinforced with illegal modifications. Weapon ports hidden in places only paranoid engineers would think to put them. He wiped grime from the hull with his bare hand. The name emerged in faded white letters. TSS Revenant. Below it, nearly erased by time. Black Fleet, classified. Harker froze. No, he whispered. No damn way. The Black Fleet was humanity's myth, officially disbanded, unofficially responsible for every unexplained disaster that befell hostile empires during humanity's rise. The Revenant had vanished 20 years ago on a deep black operation. Lost with all hands. Except, here it was. Alira stared at the ship, breath catching. This vessel, it was erased from all probability forecasts, she said. The clock AI could never account for it. Harker started laughing, slow, disbelieving, edged with something feral. Well, I'll be damned. The first plasma bolt slammed into the hangar wall, melting steel like wax. Princess, he said, drawing her toward the ship. We're getting on board. They must never know this ship exists, she pleaded. Too late, he replied. Because now I do. He slammed his palm against the hull and spoke. Revenant. Wake up. For one terrible second, nothing happened. Then the ship answered. Lights surged across the hull. Weapon ports slid open. The deck beneath their feet vibrated as ancient systems roared back to life. A voice filled the hangar, calm, female, unmistakably Terran. Human biosignature confirmed. Welcome back, Sergeant Daniel Harker. He swallowed hard. Status report. Operational capacity at 41%. Weapon systems at 72%. Ethical restraints, unchanged. He grinned like a man reunited with an old, dangerous friend. Good girl. Concordat troops poured into the hangar, sleek armor, perfect formation, absolute confidence. Harker turned, standing between them and the Revenant punched through the hangar shields like a fist through paper, shoving sparks and metal fragments into the vacuum of space. Harker didn't bother strapping in. Terran Marines never did. He grabbed Alira's hand and dragged her to the nearest seat, ignoring the shriek of twisting hulls and shattering defense drones. This is barbaric, she said, voice trembling. Effective, Harker corrected. There's a difference. The ship's AI hummed, its voice smooth, almost amused. Enemy fleet response estimated 6 minutes. Harker's lips curled. Good. We've got time for style points. Alira's violet eyes widened. Style points? He pointed toward the void. Watch. From hyperspace, Concordat drones swarmed like silver locusts. They were beautiful, lethal, mathematically perfect, Exactly the kind of enemy that should have one. But the Revenant didn't care about elegance. It deployed unguided tungsten rods at relativistic speed. Each hit shredded ships like paper under a scythe. "Why are you smiling?" Alira asked, gripping the edge of her seat. "Because," Harker said casually, "they thought math would protect them." The AI chimed again. "Primary enemy fleet cluster engaged. Probability of survival, 43%. 43? Harker laughed, low and dark. "That's optimistic." Alira flinched at another explosion, debris tumbling past the viewports. "They won't stop. They will try," Harker said. "But humans don't follow rules they didn't make." Another salvo hit. One Concordat cruiser evaporated in an instant. "They are faster than predicted," Alira whispered, all laced with terror. "They shouldn't exist." Harker smirked. "Exactly. That's the point." The Revenant lurched suddenly. Harker steadied himself with a grunt. "Plot random jump vector," he commanded the AI. "That is tactically unsound," the AI replied. "Do it anyway," Harker said. "Because predictable enemies are comfortable enemies. And we like uncomfortable." Alira swallowed. "You're insane." "Insanity is relative," he said. "If the other guy expects you to play by their rules, you've already won." The stars streaked as the Revenant jumped. Silence followed. Then the AI spoke. "Princess Alira Voss, your people issued an extermination contingency against humanity 73 hours ago." Harker's humor drained. 73 hours? She nodded, jaw tight. "They predicted you'd dismantled the clock AI's influence. That's why they imprisoned me." Harker let the weight of it sink in. His smirk returned, darker now. "And the clock AI sent me to the wrong hangar?" Alira shook her head. "No. It helped you." Harker froze. Then laughter bubbled out, raw and bitter. "You're saying the Concordat's perfect god machine just helped a human steal a warship and rescue their princess?" "Correct," the AI added, almost reverently. Harker exhaled slowly. "God, I love AI." The red alert sirens wailed again. The main screen lit up with the arrival of Concordat warships dropping from hyperspace. Too many. Way too many. Alira leaned forward, voice low. "They will destroy us." Harker cracked his knuckles. "Revenant," he said quietly. "Open package 9. The AI paused. "Ethical lock requires dual authorization." Harker's gaze swept the princess. She understood immediately. "If humanity falls," she said softly, "my people become tyrants of time itself." She placed her hand on the console. "Authorization granted." The ship's hull vibrated. Reality seemed to bend. Lights flickered. The air smelled of ozone and ionized fear. The AI's voice changed, almost afraid. "Chronoweapon online," Harker whispered. "Fire." The beam did not travel like a weapon. It simply existed. Where it intersected the Concordat fleet, ships ceased to be, not destroyed, not vaporized, just removed. As if the universe had never calculated them. Every communications channel went silent. Every fleet formation froze. Even the high strategists could only whisper. "Humans, weaponized paradox." Harker lit a cigar he wasn't allowed to have on board. Smoke curled in zero gravity. "Yeah," he said. "You shouldn't have given us math." Alira's eyes were wide, disbelief and admiration tangled in a single gaze. "Humans," she whispered. Harker grinned. "Messy, loud, chaotic, unstoppable. That's us." For the first time, the Concordat realized that the galaxy had not been conquered, it had been surprised. And the human element was the only variable they could never predict. The Revenant hummed beneath them, a predator awakened. Harker rested his hand on Alira's. "Ready for the next lesson, princess?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. She already knew. Humanity was about to rewrite every rule in the galaxy, and the Concordat wouldn't see it coming. The battle that followed was anything but conventional. Black Fleet ships didn't glide gracefully. They didn't parade in formations designed to impress alien observers. They tore through space like knives through canvas, ramming enemy cruisers into stars, detonating magnetic mines inside warp corridors, and turning debris fields into lethal minefields. Aelira gripped the console, white-knuckled, as Harker leaned back, sipping recycled coffee like they were in a cafe. "That is insane," she whispered. Harker shrugged. "Effective." A Concordat flagship appeared on the main screen. Immense. Calculated. Terrifying in its symmetry. Its high strategist spoke through a serene holographic projection. "Return the princess. Humanity will be spared." Harker leaned forward, voice low and deadly calm. "You already decided to wipe us out." "Correct," the strategist replied. "Then no," Harker said. The channel cut. Concordat ships unleashed a new weapon, time-shear cannons. Reality itself seemed to twist as ships aged centuries in seconds. 2 Black Fleet vessels went dark, their crews frozen mid-action. Harker's jaw clenched. "Revenant," he said quietly. "Unseal Package 9. The AI hesitated. "Ethical lock requires dual authorization." Aelira understood without question. She placed her hand on the console. "Authorization granted." The ship groaned as chronoweapons roared to life. The void seemed to fold, ripple, and fracture. Harker whispered, "Fire." The beam didn't travel. It simply was. And wherever it intersected Concordat ships, they stopped existing. Not destroyed. Not vaporized. Just, never calculated, never anticipated, never present. Silence spread across the battlefield. The high strategist's voice trembled through the channels. "Humans, weaponized paradox." Harker lit another cigar, smoke curling lazily in zero gravity. "Yeah. You shouldn't have given us math." Aelira stared, wide-eyed. They can't fight this." "Exactly," Harker said. "And that's why humans survive." Then, over comms, the rough, ragged voices of old Black Fleet officers rang out. "Sergeant Harker! Thought we lost you! Holy hell! Harker found the Revenant! Let's show these tin gods how chaos really works!" The Revenant's turrets spun, firing with reckless precision. Black Fleet vessels swarmed in, cutting through Concordat formations like predators through prey. Every move was unpredictable. Every strike brutally clever. Every escape route a trap. Aelira's voice shook with a mix of fear and admiration. They fight like humans?" Harker leaned back, grinning darkly. "Yeah. And this is only Tuesday." Concordat warships attempted to regroup, but the moment they tried to follow predictable patterns, the Black Fleet was already there, waiting, improvising, countering. Systems designed to anticipate threats faltered against human unpredictability. The flagship's channels lit again. The strategist was pale, eyes wide. "You, weaponized chaos itself." Harker exhaled slowly, blowing smoke in her direction. "And they thought they could calculate us. They thought we'd stay nice and neat." Aelira touched his arm, awestruck. "They underestimated humanity." He shrugged. "They always do." The battle continued as stars streaked and ships disintegrated. But the Concordat's perfect calculations failed at every turn. Their fleets collapsed under asymmetric, improvisational warfare they could neither predict nor understand. By the time silence fell again, the Concordat high strategist had no words. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible: humans, outnumbered, outgunned, and theoretically irrelevant, standing victorious through sheer unpredictability and cold, ruthless brilliance. Harker turned to Aelira, voice soft but hard-edged. "Lesson 1, Princess, never let anyone calculate your value. Lesson 2, never trust a machine that doesn't know humans." She nodded, gripping his arm. "And the galaxy?" Harker smiled darkly. "It just got a reminder. Chaos isn't weakness. It's survival. And humans? We're lethal when underestimated." Outside the bridge viewport, the wreckage of Concordat Pride floated in silence. The Revenant, ancient, dangerous, and very much alive, drifted through the aftermath, carrying 2 humans who had rewritten the rules of war. And for the first time in galactic history, the future was unpredictable. The Concordat surrendered 3 hours later. Not because they had lost ships, they had lost certainty. A civilization built on perfect prediction could not survive when the rules no longer applied. Aelira stood beside Harker on the Revenant's bridge, her fingers still trembling as she watched the surrender broadcast ripple through every known network. Her people's empire, the one that had enslaved time itself, was broken, not by overwhelming force, but by unpredictability, improvisation, and the terrifying efficiency of human chaos. "You just changed galactic history," she said quietly. Harker shrugged, leaning against the console. "History? No. They'll try to rewrite it. But what we did, we just made sure they can't plan on the outcome anymore." She turned to him, violet eyes catching the starlight. "Will humanity rule now?" He shook his head. "No. We're too messy for ruling. We just make sure nobody else does it alone." A silence stretched between them. Outside the viewport, black fleet ships drifted like a restless pack of wolves, their lights flickering across the void like stars that refused to obey gravity. They had come to finish a mission decades old, but the mission had become something else entirely, a warning to every empire that assumed humans were predictable. "You saved me," Aelira said softly, gripping his arm. "Why?" Harker studied her for a long moment, gaze hard and steady. "Because every empire thinks it's permanent," he said finally. "And every empire is wrong." The Revenant hummed beneath them, ancient systems alive and watchful. Its AI spoke, almost conversationally, a voice tempered with admiration and amusement. "Sergeant Harker, Clock AI requests direct link." He raised an eyebrow. "This should be interesting. Patch it through." A shimmering interface appeared, the alien Clock AI manifesting as a lattice of infinite light and time. Its voice resonated in their minds, calm and eternal. "Human Sergeant," it said. "Thank you." Harker's hand froze on the console. "For what?" "For introducing uncertainty," the Clock AI replied. "My creators forgot that survival requires unpredictability. You reminded us." He smirked. "Happy to help." Aelira squeezed his hand, her expression a mixture of awe and disbelief. Somewhere, in the deepest code of the Concordat God machine, a new variable had been introduced: human. "And the hangar?" she asked. "Was it an accident?" Harker laughed, low and dark. "No. That wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. A very expensive, very inconvenient choice for them. Lucky for us." The Revenant drifted through the silent void, engines purring like a predator at rest. The Black Fleet flanked them, ghosts of humanity's past and warnings to every empire daring to assume control. Humanity hadn't conquered the galaxy. Not yet. But they had done something far worse. They had made sure that no empire would ever feel safe under tyranny again. Stars stretched past the viewport as Harker exhaled, cigar smoke curling lazily in the microgravity. Somewhere, in the uncharted corners of space and time, the Concordat tried to recalculate the future. And for the first time, they failed. Because humans, messy, chaotic, lethal humans, had already rewritten it. And the galaxy had learned a terrifying new truth. The future is unpredictable. Human. And that was enough.